Welcome to the PayNet Employee Self-Service mobile app. To begin, you can download the PayNet MyPay app on mobile devices from the Apple App Store or the Android Google Play Store. Once you've downloaded the app, you will log in using the same employee credentials established for the Employee Self-Service kiosk. Navigating through systems is accomplished using the hamburger icon at the top left of the screen. Here, a pop-up window will appear on the left, where you can navigate to all the available tabs within Employee Self-Service. Home. Upon entering the system, you are brought to the Home module. This area houses tabs that employees can access, such as My Info, My Time Off, and My Check information provided by your employer, and you have access to update your user settings and your account. My Check. Your most recent check will be highlighted in the listing, and the details about the check show in the lower portion of the screen. Each check date, your paycheck information will update, providing you the means to see the details behind the calculation of your check, as well as the option to print the statement or voucher as well. Year. Located below the check listing will be multiple years based on how much pay history is processed for you in the system. By clicking on the drop-down menu and choosing a year, the checks paid to you for that year will display. Printing a voucher. Click the printer icon button to display a copy of the selected check stub, which can either be saved to your device or printed. Account settings. At any time, you may update your self-service password and email address. To navigate to this page, simply click on your name at the top of the screen. You may also update your security method for two-factor authentication by selecting your preferred authentication method from the drop-down menu. You can also configure your e-signature in this window if you have not already done so. Simply select from the available signatures by clicking on the button next to the style you prefer and click on Save Signature once completed. Demographics. Home of the most basic employee information. Housed here are your legal name, address, contact information, and other personal data. Some employers will grant access for you to be able to change certain areas of the system. Your changes may be saved immediately or may go through an approval process to save the information. Your employer can allow certain fields and not others. They may also want to approve the changes you make in the system. In that scenario, you will see fields surrounded by an orange border that you can change, but will need to be approved, and fields surrounded in blue you can change without approval. Be sure to save all changes. If your changes need to be approved, a window will display at the top of the screen, letting you know which are pending approval. If you have made a mistake, you can click on the X button in the window to stop your request. Fields you've changed and that are pending approval cannot be changed by you again until the approval is made. Department and position. The information housed on this screen is primarily used by your employer to track information about the job you are assigned to do and who you report to. Dependents. Typically specified when enrolling in insurance and benefits, the dependents you specify may be stored in the system by your employer for reporting purposes. They would be stored here. Emergency contacts. It may be necessary for your employer to contact someone in case you are injured or sick on the job. Your employer may choose to store this information on this tab. Taxes. Anytime you update your W-4, tax elections, your employer will update the payroll system so your most recent elections are displayed here. From this screen, you can pull up a dummy copy of your existing W-4 based on the information that is displayed. To do this, simply click on the Run Report button next to the tax code. If you need to change your elections, you may click on the Edit button, and a W-4 will be displayed with your demographic information already filled in. You can then print the form, fill out the remainder, and return it to your employer. If your employer has stored tax changes as history by using begin and end dates, you can see the history by marking the box to Include Inactive Tax Records above the tax code listing. Direct deposits. As you change or add bank accounts, your employer will update the payroll systems. Your most recent direct deposit accounts and elections are displayed here. If your employer has stored direct deposit changes as history by using begin and end dates, you can see this history by marking the box to Include Inactive Direct Deposits above the accounts listing. Deductions. The amount being taken from your paycheck to cover items such as insurance, loans, and retirement funds will be listed here. You can see the amount being withheld, the last time it was taken, the amount withheld year to date, and any goal that may be set to stop the deduction. If your employer has stored deduction changes as history by using begin and end dates, you can see the history by marking the box to Include Inactive Deductions above the deduction code listing. Pay rates. The amount being paid to you either per hour or as salary can be found on this tab. If you get paid differing amounts based on specific work you do, you may see more than one rate listed. With each one, you can see if the rate is applied when working a specific job or in a specific department. Also listed under the employee pay settings are your pay and tax frequency and hours associated with your salary, if applicable. If your employer has stored rate changes as history by using begin and end dates, You can see the history by marking the box to include inactive deductions above the rates listing. Time off balance. Displayed here are your balances of paid time off, such as sick or vacation time, if your employer is tracking that information through the payroll system. On top of seeing your available time off balance, you can see the time used and any probation time earned if you are a new employee and cannot use your balance right away. There may be an additional tab in this module that you can access. Additional features. There are several features of this system that are employer elected. Tax forms. Your W-2 1099 may be issued electronically and made available to you in self-service. If available, the screen will appear in the Pay History module, and you'll need to read the disclosure and then click to enroll if you agree. You can withdraw consent at any time. When forms are available to be viewed, the screen will display the selected year's tax form with all box details. You may click the Print Selected Tax Form button to view and print your form. Statements and notifications. One of the key features of the system is your ability to receive your pay stubs in an electronic format. Enrolling in electronic direct deposit vouchers will stop the printing of paper stubs for you. To locate this page, navigate to the Direct Deposits page. Simply click to enroll. If you used an email address when registering for your account for self-service, you will also be enrolled to receive email notifications when your stub is available online on your check date. You can unenroll or unsubscribe at any time. Note, it is not necessary to enroll to receive your stub online. This simply turns off paper printing. Time off requests. Self-service has functionality that allows you to request time off through the system. To request time off, access the Time Off module, and you will see the Time Off Requests tab. Click on the type of request you would like to make and complete the request in the box that appears. Then click Save to submit for approval. You can stop a request by clicking the Delete button, so long as the request hasn't been acted upon by your employer. If you used an email address during self-service registration, you will receive an email letting you know if your request was approved or denied. Webclock. If your company has the PayNet Webclock service enabled, self-service has the functionality that allows you to clock in and out using the MyPay app. To clock in for your shift, simply click on the Clock In button at the bottom of the home screen. Depending on how your company is configured, you may receive the option to clock in to your cost center, department, and job code. Simply select from the corresponding drop-down menu which applies to you. Once you've made your selections, click on Complete. If your company utilizes the geofencing feature, you will want to ensure that your location services are enabled on your device to allow for properly clocking in and clocking out. You should be prompted to share your services from within the app, and you will simply allow location sharing while using the app. This will then allow you to properly clock in and out within the range set up by your company. If you do not enable your location services, or if you happen to fall outside of the range set up by your company, then you'll receive an error message letting you know that you are too far away from your employer's location and you will be prevented from clocking in until you are within the acceptable range in meters. If your company utilizes the Clock Event Photos feature, then you will be prompted to share a photo when using the app, allowing you to take a photo upon clocking in and clocking out. Note, you will want to make sure that you have enabled your camera within your device settings for the PayNet MyPay app for this to work properly. Once you've successfully clocked in, you will see a notification at the top of the screen, letting you know that you've successfully clocked in. To clock out, you will simply click on Clock Out at the bottom of the screen, and you will be notified letting you know that you have successfully clocked out. Timecards. You can view your timecards for each pay period by navigating to the Timecards tab. This can be found by either clicking on the My Timecard menu on the home screen or the Timecard tab within the menu at the top left of the screen. Here, you will be able to view your timecard entries for each pay period. To navigate to a different pay period, you may either click on the Previous or Next buttons at the top of the screen. You may also select from a range of dates by clicking on the drop-down menu in the top middle of the screen. You will then select for which check dates you would like to view those timecards. You will see all your previous punches from your prior timecards as well as the totals at the bottom of the screen for each period. When you are ready to submit your timecards for supervisor approval before your check date, simply click on the Submit button at the top of the screen. A screen will pop up afterwards letting you know that your timecards will be locked and you will not be able to clock in or out for that time period unless the timecards are reopened by a supervisor. You will click on OK and your timecard will be submitted. Expense tracking. If your company has PayNet's expense tracking service enabled, you will click on the Expense Tracking tab located in the menu at the top of the screen. This will take you to the My Expense Report Pages subtab, where you can enter your reimbursement request. To begin, click on Add, then enter the start date and end date for the time period the reimbursement is for. You will also add a description for the reimbursement you are seeking. Once completed, click on Save. The reimbursement will then update the page and additional details will be required to be entered at the bottom of the page. You will enter the date of the expense, choose any cost codes if applicable, choose an expense code, and choose a job code if applicable. You will then enter a description of the expense, the miles if applicable, the account if applicable, and the amount. This will automatically populate for mileage based on the expense code setup. Once everything has been entered, you will click on the Save icon located on the far left side of the row. If no documents or receipts need to be added, you will click on Save when completed. Note, in order to be able to upload receipts, you must save after entering details. Each entry, once saved, will allow you to upload documentation and receipts as backup for the reimbursement. Some expense codes will require this, and a reimbursement request may not be submitted without this documentation, and a warning or error message will appear at the top of the screen in this situation. By clicking the plus icon located next to receipts, a window will pop up. You will enter a description, then click on Choose File to upload a receipt. Once completed, you will click on Save. On the next screen, you will need to click on the Save icon again, located on the far left side of the row. Confirmation of the documentation having been uploaded will reveal a magnifying glass icon to the right of the plus icon on the far right side of the row. More than one receipt can be added, where the ones that have already been uploaded will already reflect on this pop-up window, showing the description and document name. After all documents and receipts have been added, click on Save. Once a reimbursement request is complete, you will click on Submit. A window will pop up asking you if you wish to submit your expense report. If you're ready to submit it, you can click on OK. If something is missing or incomplete for this request, a warning will appear at the top of the screen. If everything has been filled out correctly, the request will follow the approval steps defined by the kiosk administrator for your company. No changes can be made to a request once it has been submitted, unless it is rejected by an administrator. The reimbursement request will be saved on your My Expense Reports page subtab with a status of pending until it has been approved. Thank you for choosing PayNet and using the Employee Self-Service mobile app.